This is huge. We're going to be talking about why Chicago Bulls fans should be excited about this young core here in Chicago. This is your host, Rico Greenhowe, and you have found yourself on another episode of Bulls Digest. And so today we are looking at the Chicago Bulls young core. We're going to be talking about why we should be excited to see this young core, not just for this season, but what they really could do in this upcoming season after this one. And so before we go ahead and jump into it, I first wanted to remind you here that 72.3% of you that watch are not subscribed to the channel. So make sure you go ahead and you slam dunk on that subscribe button, as it means a lot to us here at Bulls Digest as we try to reach our end of the season subscriber goal. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the content today. And so I wanted to start with player number one, and that is going to be Coby White and why we should be excited for him. And so look, I think that Coby White has stepped up and really stepped into two different roles. So number one, what he has done is he has kind of taken what DeMar DeRozan did really a season ago and really what he did for us as a Chicago Bull, which is being a great closer. You got a chance to see that last night. It's not how you start, but how you finish. I think that Coby White is going to be that player that is going to be super impactful for us, maybe moving forward in the fourth quarter. I think at the time of this recording, I believe he was 14th in the NBA as far as fourth quarter points. And so, look, he's picking up right where DeMar DeRozan left off there. And then he's stepping into Zach LaVine's role as really the primary scorer. And I think that he's done a terrific job. And not only is he just, scoring the basketball, it's the way that he's scoring the basketball. It's not just shooting the three-point shot. It is not just getting to the layups, but it's also, too, his ability to get to the free throw line. It is really helping the Chicago Bulls team, because now, even if he misses on some of these close range shots, I think that our bigs and just others have been able to follow up and get some good looks off of this. And so, look, Coby White is certainly part of that young core, and he is one of the reasons why we definitely have to be excited. And I think that last night's game, that is just an indication really of Coby White and why we should believe in him with this young core, because it didn't start off well, but it certainly finished well. And so you've got to give Coby White a ton of credit there. In fact, in this last game that he played, 18 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. He had a block shot. He was +3, 5 of 14, 0 of 5 from deep. But more importantly, what I was talking about, he was 8 of 8 from the free throw line in 36 minutes. And so definitely a player we should be excited for moving forward this season and then going into next season. And so next, I want to talk about the next player that certainly we want to be excited about here. And look, it is Josh Giddey. I think that we absolutely have to be really excited about just the potential of Josh Giddey. I just love the fact that since the trades have went down and just really the second half of the season, man, you might say that he could be maybe our best player since then, because he's just been an impact across the board. And so when you look at Josh Giddey and just some of the statistics and numbers here, the first thing that jumps off is just defensively he's gotten better, and you can see that in the steals. He went from 0.7 last season. He's right now at 1.2 steals, and he has a chance to really increase those numbers over the next couple games. But that just lets you know the activity that you're getting from him defensively as far as getting into the passing lanes and getting deflections and stuff like that, which obviously helps our offense get out and run. Next up, look, I know it was a down year as far as assists last year. He was at 4.8. He's at 7.2 assists this year. So simply picking it up, and just the way that he's done it, he's distributing to everybody, and he's just simply making everybody on this basketball team better. Heck, even the water boy probably got an assist from him. Just joking. But look, Josh Giddey out there, man, he is setting the table for everybody. And then next, when you look at the three-point shooting, this has been really amazing. The turnaround that we saw there is from 33.7 up to 37.8% from three. And look, I don't know how sustainable this is going to be, but man, I'm super excited to see how this finishes out. And I definitely want to see, can he build off of this? Because if he can, then he is going to be simply a force to just be reckoned with as far as what he could do on the basketball court. Because when you see the numbers that he had yesterday, I mean, that was pretty incredible with that triple-double. In fact, I think it's his 7th of the season. But look, he went with with 28 points. He had 16 rebounds. He had 11 assists. He had 2 steals, 3 blocks. He was 11 of 19 from the field, 3 of 6 from downtown, 3 of 3 from the free throw line in 40 minutes. Once again, Josh Giddey, you got to be excited about that young core, not just for this season, but I think it's something that really you should be excited for moving forward, because between him and Coby White, I think that both of these guys, the game is starting to slow down and they understand how to play off one another and really get everybody involved. That has got to be super exciting as a Bulls fan. I just feel like now, look, whoever you bring in, I think that they can make that player really just take off in year one, honestly. And so next up, the next couple players that I want to take a look at, really, it starts with Matas Buzelis. And so look, Matas Buzelis is absolutely a bright spot for us, and one of the reasons why we're excited, not just for this season, but for next season with what he's doing, because Matas continues to show us flashes of something that he could possibly do in the future, and I think that he's going to really get it. I think, number one, this is a guy that's not coming out of the starting lineup. I think just the way that he's been playing here down the stretch since he's gotten into the starting lineup, I don't see him coming off the floor because he's naturally going to get stronger. I think that the game is going to start to slow down. And I just loved yesterday when he was able to take a confident three-pointer there to end the Miami Heat's evening yesterday and then give him the stare down. It's the confidence, it's the swagger that you get from Matas Buzelis that you absolutely love that. Defensively, what we're seeing with the block shots, like, it just shows you that this guy could be really a good rim protector. And you know, once he gets better as an on-ball defender, it's going to be tough to get around him. I could see the steals going up. He's showing us that he can put the ball on the deck. He's showing us that he can be a playmaker. Like, I'm just super excited to see what this offense is really going to look like when you have Coby, you have Josh Giddey, and then you're starting to actually run plays for Matas Buzelis. I don't think they're running plays right now. I think he's still out there still hooping. And I mean, he's not just standing in the corner, but I'm talking about when they actually run some sets and designs to get it to Matas Buzelis and let him go to work. Like, I think it's going to be something special. And I've said this before in past videos. He is going to be responsible for a lot of winning in Chicago. I'm saying that right now. He is going to be that guy for the Chicago Bulls. Super excited. And I feel like, look, if the Bulls go out and they get, a draft selection that can go along with him on the front line, with the potential backcourt threat that we have, I think that this team is really starting to trend in the right direction. And so next, I wanted to talk about some more players that are part of our young core that I think are really stepping up and we really should be excited for. And that's going to be Julian Phillips. Like, I love the fact that Julian Phillips, I know he is not, a starter with this, but I think that he's carving out a role in which that if somebody does go down, I think that Billy Donovan would definitely trust Julian Phillips to go out there and start for us, much like we saw with Torrey Craig, or we've seen in times with THT or somebody else having to step up. Like, I think that Julian Phillips is showing that, and I just like the little bit of growth that I'm seeing, because from a statistic standpoint, he's gone from 41.6% up to 43.7% from the field, and then his three-point percentage, look, I know it is not a huge jump, but you know me, I've talked about this before. Anytime we start to see a increase, that right there lets you know that a player is getting better. He's gone from 31.6% from downtown up to 32.2%, so I think that that is going to continue to get better, especially since he's become a bit of a corner three-point specialist and somebody that maybe you can start to rely on from that corner. And then I like the fact that, look, athleticism and the way he's able to get to the rim, I think that he's going to start to get fouled more, and he's gone up in his free throw percentage. So he's gone from 68.4 up to 77.1 with his free throws, and so that is huge for Julian Phillips. He's making defenses pay, and then his steals have gone up from 7 all the way up to 35 this year, and then his blocks too from 7 up to 19, which is why you rave, I think, about his defensive ability, much like Dalen Terry, who we're going to talk about in a moment. But I think we're excited here because we're getting some questions answered about him, and I think he's trending towards a player that could maybe be a solid role player, just going to have to get some more minutes, and I think he can even get better over the summer along with Dalen Terry. And so this is another reason I think we should be excited for this young core. And so next, the next player that I wanted to take a look at is going to be Dalen Terry. And so look, I think that we're excited for Dalen Terry because, look, first of all, he's playing with a ton of confidence out there. I loved what we saw on that West Coast trip. him letting it fly from downtown and just going out there and playing some great defense and just being really a disruptor on the defensive end. Like, I love that about him. And much like Coby White and Josh Giddey, I feel like that the game is starting to really slow down for him as well. And when you look at the numbers for him, look, his steals have gone up. He had 27 the year before. He's got 43 this year. So he's really showing you with the playing time and just the added responsibility, he can go out there and generate some steals. Also, too, his field goal percentage has gone up. It went from 43.9 up to 45.2. That is always a great sign. And then this is the biggest jump. He went from 23% downtown shooting, so from the three, up to 36.6 now. That is a brilliant jump, and that is something that you know he's going to have those opportunities with the way that this offense is set up, running the floor, getting the spacing, and opening up three-point shooters. If you can show that you can be a 3-and-D player, you can certainly be with this roster, and I think you can be with it for a long time. And so I love that growth. The rebounding has gone up from 113 to 121. His assists have gone up as well. I think that Dalen Terry has had some chances to be a little bit of a point forward, and I think he's responded well for the most part. 81 to now 96 assists this year, so he still has a chance to add on. And so, look, we're seeing some growth from our younger players, and these are guys that are probably, again, your role players, guys that might have to step in due to people being injured, or it could be a situation where Billy Donovan is maybe, shuffling the lineups and he has to go with certain players to adjust to maybe the opposing team and what they're going to throw out there. And so I think that Julian Phillips, Dalen Terry, they've taken a step as a player, and I do believe that they're going to take another step over the summer. And this mentioning Patrick Williams and then Jalen Smith. Look, Jalen Smith, I'm super excited for him, and I think that the opportunity has certainly got to be there, especially if you move on from Vooch. And I think that even though he's been getting some not plays or whatever, so the coach hasn't been putting him in, I think that he's shown enough to me that if you have to start him, I think he would be just fine. And I think he's also shown that he can play really major minutes off the bench, and he can also help you. He's shown that he can run the floor. He works well with all of the guards out there. He's shown that, look, he's not going to be necessarily a rim protector like that, but he will get some block shots. And I think as far as his size, look, I did not see him get bullied down there a lot as far as at the center position. And so I think he's going to be just fine there. I think he's shown that he can rotate defensively. He will knock down three-point shots. And so I'm super excited about Jalen Smith moving forward. I think he could be a major piece. And then with Patrick Williams, look, if we can get games like we got with the Cavs and he can stay a bit more consistent that way, then it's always going to be a plus with Patrick Williams. But I think the issue here is that when he hits the floor, it is just bad. Like, you'll see like 4 points and 2 rebounds, and then it'll go games like that, and then you'll see a game where he goes for 12, 13 points, 4 or 5 rebounds or something like that. I just think at some point the consistency's got to come up and his floor has to raise. And then you're talking about, a player that maybe you can trust coming off the bench. Defensively, he struggled a bit this year. I want to see if that comes back. And lastly, the last player that I wanted to mention was Ayo Dosunmu. And so, look, I am super excited about Ayo. Much like Coby White, I think that he is going to he might have the best season next year out of everybody, because this is a guy that, look, if you put him in a role, he wants to excel, and I think he wants to be here with the Chicago Bulls. He wants to see this thing turn around, and I already know defensively what we're going to get from him. I think offensively he was starting to figure it out. I cannot wait until he gets out there with Coby White, with Josh Giddey, because if we move on, especially from like Trey Jones, that is certainly going to open up even more minutes, I think, for Ayo to kind of step into that role. I could see him being super impactful. And again, I feel like this young core is trending in the right direction. It's all going to be about what are we going to do with the draft capital that we have. I'd like to see us kind of address the front court and go from there and continue to build around what we have with this young core. And so anyway, let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking about the Chicago Bulls young core. Do you think that they're poised to make some noise this season? Obviously, it's not over. Got a chance to get up to the 8th seed and really have a chance to get into the playoffs and see what we can do. But even if we don't make it out, again, just looking forward to this next season. Super excited about it. I know it's a small sample size, with what they have done here in the second half of the season. But I've said this before. I feel like that when you're starting to develop winning habits, I think that once you get that, success leaves clues. And I think that these players get hungry enough. They do want to build off of that. And so I'm not saying that they're going to be, tearing the walls down with the standings and stuff like that next season. But I think that we're going to see some much improved play. And I feel like these players are poised to take a step as they continue to build out. And so anyway, let me know what you guys are thinking. And as we always say, go Bulls. And we'll see you in the next one. All right, peace.